You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a...
Let's do that again.
Okay.
So you're peeking right there.
Yeah, I was getting too close.
You're good.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Bombad Generals. This is Matt, and I'm here with Seth. Hello, Seth.
Hello, Matt.
Yeah, I'm staring at him. He's about 6 feet away from me. We are in the hotel room the night before Worlds.
The night before.
So this might be a bit shorter than usual, a bit loopier than usual, as we're both tired and wanting to get to bed. But we wanted to give a report from on the ground, kind of give a deep dive into our list building process for obviously the biggest event in Legion so far in terms of stakes, and also kind of give some predictions for Worlds, because this will come out on Friday. It won't be like too late to give predictions.
Which I got some predictions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't have to do a lot of them. Of course, Todd, everyone's asking us here at the event what is going on with Todd. So Seth, I think you saw him today, at least briefly.
Yeah, so Todd he's actually going repeat after repeat after repeat doing the Shatterpoint demos. Because spoiler, like Shatterpoint demo was actually pretty fun. So Todd just is doing that all day. So you may see him around there if you're here.
Yeah, they started catching on. So we put like a fake mustache. He's wearing a different hat. So it might not look like the Todd that you know and love.
Yeah, so just go up to someone if you're here at Adepticon and say, hey, are you Todd?
Yeah.
It'll work. Trust us.
It'll work eventually.
Yes.
All right, so we don't have a ton of time. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Seth, what is your list for Worlds? How did you arrive at this list? What are your considerations?
Yeah.
What are your hopes, your dreams, your fears?
For sure. Well, my fears are Dark Troopers, specifically against you. Other than that, I think I'll be fine. So I'm actually running Old Faithful Yoda Chewie. I know we've talked a lot about me running Yoda Chewie a lot, and so I fell back on that. I know we've done a lot of play testing of me doing like a Yoda gun line. I know I want to just stick with Yoda because he's just a blast. I can't just like come to Worlds.
Familiarity. Two things are big, right?
Yeah.
Familiarity. You know, you want to be able to do this in your sleep almost.
Yes.
And you do want it to be a list you enjoy playing a lot. Because let's be real, if you lose round 1, day 2, and you know you're out of it, you know, you still want to enjoy playing. You don't want to be like, oh man, I actually don't like this list. I just wanted to win, and now I have none of that.
Yeah, and so not going only to win, mainly because it's just, honestly, it's really hard to win in this meta.
It's very... The chances that any given person, even like the Kyles of the world, if it's Kyle versus the field, I'm betting the field every time, right? It's hard. It's all, there's a lot of matchup stuff. Dice can go against you. It just takes the wrong game at the wrong time. Yeah.
So Yoda Chewie, 2 phase 1s, Z6s, both with medics, and then we got a RPS phase 1, and then Echo strike team, and then 3 naked barks. A few of the reasons why I went like naked barks instead of like more snipers or something is more objective play against Blizzard. So my whole like going into this tournament is like press W on darks, play objective versus Blizzard.
Yeah, so I think I probably talked before about how Yoda barks, it's great against Blizzard, maybe not great, but you can play those objectives.
It's got tools against it that you can utilize.
A big strength of Blizzard is the objective deck they can bring, and you can play that deck no problem. Hostage, breakthrough, bombing run.
I prefer that deck, honestly.
It's what your deck is. And you've got red saves. Against darks, you know, you say press W key, like, what kind of tools... What kind of tech did you put in for darks?
So actually, originally testing, I tried to just do like a Yoda gun line, and having Clone Commander for the fire supports. But like, you and I, we played and just talking, and it was really hard to get Yoda in there. And so just using burst of speed early was just really tough. And so having Chewie there for 3 reasons. One, for transport for Yoda. Like, that's a huge reason, because once Yoda gets in there, especially into like a single dark, it's really helpful. And Chewie can reliably take out a dark in one shot, just one dark model with its impact 1, critical 1, pierce
It's a great
1.
fire support platform to start a shot into darks.
We played a game literally just earlier today. I took out 3 dark models, or two and a half.
Yeah.
And so with the RPS, and so great. And so that's a great tech. And then also the Guardian on for Yoda. So like having the Guardian also and having the medics as a backup for Yoda in the dark match. And so because I think attrition is a little bit different for your cores, for your like Z6s, using the medics versus to like into Blizzard attrition. And so that's kind of like what I did with that. And my whole goal against Dark Troopers is just to split up the Dark Troopers, because if I can get them split up, then I can take on one at a time. And so how about you? What is your thought process?
Before that, I wanted to kind of give a little spotlight on, so process-wise, thinking about the big meta monsters, what your answers are. And part of that, too, was getting Saber Throw on Yoda. Not something we see a lot of. And I think it's an idea we both had at the same time. We loaded up a game we were going to play, and I was like, I've been thinking about Seth. What if you put Saber Throw on Yoda?
I literally had it on him.
the card already, right? So that's the kind of things you see.
Yes, it is. And so, Matt, tell me a little bit about your theory crafting going into Worlds.
So, I wanted to create the next Blizzard, in a sense, right? Like the Blizzard is threat saturation, distract people, Vader gets in there, right? And I was pretending, hey, let's assume Blizzard gets nerfed and kind of live in a post-Blizzard world.
Kind of hoping to. So
that's what that was the goal. That was why I was playing Blizzard LVO. Obviously, that didn't happen. And then I thought, okay, well, Darks are dead on arrival. They can't hold up to it. And then I was thinking more about it, and I was like, but maybe they can. And that's when I dropped Vader down to Boba to get more ranged help, so that Vader does a lot, but he kind of has to, you point him somewhere and he goes there and he does damage. But that's what Darks are doing. Whereas Boba's more mobile. He can turn 1, he can be shooting at range 3, tap his rocket. Like, he's doing a lot. His cards work. He's got a lot of tricks, right? He can move them up with Simple Man. He can get good order control out with Rule with Respect and get some extra dice. So he does a lot of things, and the points you save allow you to turn the Dark Troopers into 6-man squads. You use the personnel upgrade for 32 points.
Those are key right there.
And that's very key in the Blizzard matchup, because then you can have 2 more wounds that they have to punch through before you lose a heavy. It's great in all matchups, but I found it was really helpful in the Blizzard matchup. So I'd say, for me, when I knew, like, okay, this is probably what I'm going to run, is when I was able to get a practice game in against Kyle, who's running his Blizzard Force. And we had a weird end game. We kind of messed up calculating who had what points. But basically, it was a very close game, even though Boba Fett went 1 for 6 on saves. Right? And if that can happen, then it's like, well, the confidence is just like, okay, like, I can give Blizzard a game. I didn't feel good about any other list like that, right? So I considered a few different variations, because it's basically, okay, here, I've got the basis for the list. Now let's look at some variations. And there's a version where you can get, a couple HH-12s for the mirror match. With IRG. I settled for a version with 2 shores and 2 mortars, because what I really like to do is on turn 1, play Rule with Respect, put the order on Boba and both shore troopers. They coordinate to the both mortars. Your bag is 5 tokens, 4 Dark Troopers and the officer. Right? So whenever you pull the officer, she spotters Boba, whatever. But basically you can go first with all your pass activations. It's even better than when you put orders on the Darks, because you could pull their token whenever. So you reverse sort your bag, and into Blizzard, that's very good, because Blizzard doesn't have order control on the bikes. So they're probably going to have to go with at least some, or maybe even all of their bikes before you do with your Dark Troopers. So either they move in, they shoot you, they can't get back out of range of a move shoot, or they just don't shoot you turn 1, and then your Dark Troopers are getting closer and closer to their army, right? So a lot of things for me are thinking, okay, how do I want to face Blizzard Force? Then, of course, we see, okay, everyone else is onto this Dark Trooper train. And, the reason I stuck with that version is to have the order control, which is decent in the mirror, less good than HH-12s. But I have Boba Fett, so I think unless they're running exact mirrors, it's always going to come down to, at least partially, to dice and some table stuff. But if they're like Gideon double darks, Boba Fett is
he loves that.
He's so good into Dark Troopers. So if they don't have that, because he's piercing impact, he's got his rocket, he's got marksman on his rule, or his simple man turn if you want. He's got a lot of tools. So Boba and 2 Darks versus 2 Darks and Gideon, even if they've got some HH-12s, like Gideon's not adding anything offensively. So that's why I stuck with what I did, and I feel like I'm better into the non-Dark Trooper things that skew.
It's helpful for you because you have more wounds on your Dark Troopers, unlike usually with the mirror match, if they're bringing Gideon or even IRG, they have one less wound.
They have one less dude. They kind of have more wounds in that they have 3 IRG versus 2 extra. But then I could potentially just nuke the IRG directly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, great, now I got some free points. I didn't waste all the hits because if you shoot into armor, you're wasting all the hits. So I think for both of us, our approach was similar. It started with kind of where we were at as far as beating Blizzard. We made some tweaks to beat Darks, and we're still trying to feel good into the rest of the field. But obviously thinking a lot about the big meta monsters. I think something very unique for my considerations is really thinking about the structure of the event. So on day 1, you can afford a single loss.
Yeah.
You know, because people...
You got a mulligan, so that's super helpful.
The thing about Dark Troopers is, well, what if you just run into the guy who brought 6 HH-12s?
That's... Yes.
And that can exist.
Yeah.
So if you run into them day 1, that could be a bad time, but you get a mulligan. Day 2... The hope, the plan is you know, it's only 3 games, 4 games. Yeah. If you, hopefully you dodge those matchups, or everyone's kind of taking care of those lists.
Yeah, like it's whittled out by day 1, where all those...
Or at least hopefully partway into day 2. Because, like, don't get me wrong, those are lists that can succeed, but they're obviously, they're not going to be... Into not Dark Troopers, they're going to have a tougher time.
Yes.
So you're kind of relying on the rest of the meta to take out those for you. I'd almost call it a spoiler list. You're not going to win worlds, most likely. Maybe we'll look like idiots in a weekend, but I don't think you're going to win worlds with 6 HH-12s. No. But you'll keep a lot of people from winning worlds.
Yes, for sure.
Right? So once you get later and later in the event, you're more likely to run into the lists that, hey, these are the people who are trying to win the whole thing and can't skew as hard into one particular matchup. So that's the plan.
Kind of the meta right now with the rock paper scissors. That,
it's rock paper scissors.
You fully skew into one thing, you totally miss out on this other thing.
Yeah.
And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's just how it is right now.
I don't love the rock paper scissors, but
because you win in list building.
I do like metas where we have a chance to let it breathe, and you have like something that's good, and then you can bring a counter in. I think a reason a lot of people are countering hard into Dark Troopers is because you can actually do it, right? You can build a lot of impact versus when Blizzard was king, at least the only king in town. Then. You couldn't really build a list to hard counter Blizzard. You can build a list to hard counter Darks.
Yes.
Right? And I think
it's just Blizzard won with the bid. Yeah. It's really hard to counter Blizzard when their battle deck is they're one of the best.
And even if you
armies,
I outbid them back in the day.
Yeah.
Before points changes, and it was still like they're still just really good at a lot of objectives and killing and
Vader's pretty good. So
So hopefully that was helpful as far as like seeing our thoughts, our process for how we were making the list. I think, lots of similarities as far as think about what are the big meta lists. You have to have an answer for those. Yeah. And you want to make sure that you have answers into other things and that you feel comfortable with it and you have your own approach for how to do it. So we're talking about Blizzard. Let's transition then. Let's talk about what we think is going to happen.
Predictions.
Yeah. Oh, you got a lot of predictions?
No, I was going to pull up the Legion HQ.
Oh, okay, to get some stats.
Yeah, I was just looking at some stats and so.
Last we saw, it's about 50% Empire, almost exactly, in Worlds. So not a lot of surprise there. A lot of double Dark Trooper lists made it through the Last Chance qualifier, so we'll see a lot of those.
See some 3-0s.
Yep.
So out of all the 124 lists submitted, 54 of them are Empire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 65.
It's gone way up. It's gone a lot. Yeah, it's over half.
Which is a lot of that is from the last game LCQ, and so
So a little over 50% Empire.
You got 7 mercenary lists, which we were just talking about this earlier. Is that like usually you don't see a lot of mercenary? 2 reasons. It's a lot of buy-in.
It's expensive, IRL.
Very expensive,
Yep.
and usually the people who bring them right now are like the ones who do really well at them. So, so prediction, hot take. I think we're going to see a mercenary in top 16.
Oh, I think top 16 for sure.
Yes.
I could see one in top 8. Usually one is squeaking through.
And so, yeah,
I think
mall changes are
matchups, again, everything kind of depends on matchups. Like, yeah, they really leaned on Maul. Obviously, we saw them still get to top 8 at LVO. Yeah, it depends what their matchups are because they live and die with a lot of heavy weapons, right? And choke really hurts them.
It does.
And then Dark Troopers, I don't think they have great answers into Dark Troopers. Sure, they have Black Suns, but they have to get close and they're probably nuked by then.
Yeah.
They have Pikes, but it's not enough.
Yeah, Pikes aren't enough. Black Suns have like one good shot, and if they don't like capitalize on that,
They might not even make it to get the one good shot.
And
the bus is going to get blown up.
Yeah.
Mando rockets, but then you're running Mandos.
Yes.
So
really unfortunate.
But yeah, I think we'll see. I think the players who play Shadow Collective have played it enough that I think we're
but then again,
get
it's all matchups. So
exactly.
Especially because like for day 1 and day 2, it's all swish. It's just you just can match up, have the best matchups. And in Republic, there's 17 units of list of Republic. And I think we'll see 2 Republic lists in top 8.
I think if the top 8 is going to have a lot of red saves.
Yes.
Between Empire, obviously lots of Empire.
I think it'll only have red saves, but that's just me.
I think there'll be like, a Shadow Collective, maybe 1 or 2 CIS, maybe if we're talking top 8, maybe 1 CIS, maybe 1 Rebel, and then just like a lot of red saves.
Yeah.
So like Gar, I think is in the best position other than Empire right now. They have a lot of red saves that sometimes surge is very good. They have Anakin with
saber
fire supported saber throws.
Yeah, because they're probably the most well balanced to handle Blizzard and handle Darks at the same time.
Exactly.
So where other lists like CIS or Rebels, like they have to counter skewed at one or the other, and it's really tough to find that hybrid. Yeah. Maybe you have something in Echo base, but I think people are exploring that and they're finding it. I just don't think it's like really.
I think it's decent. I don't know if it can go all the way.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
we could be idiots.
Here's the real question. If we're both thinking, lots of Empire, what Empire do we see coming out the best? Because we've talked about Blizzard, we talked about Darks. There's, Bounty Hunters are still really good.
Yeah.
Boba, IG.
I think
even CAD.
I think Double Darks are going to be the best Empire.
You think? At the end of Sunday? I don't think that's. I think Blizzard. From what I think, everyone's making their lists in a way worse against Blizzard because they're trying to tech into Dark Troopers, and that tech is not useful into Vader quad bikes.
Yeah.
So Blizzard, they're also teching a bit, but like not too much.
Yes.
I think they just have an easier time versus everyone else. It's old style Blizzards. Like the ones like Kyle was winning with, that was it was 50-50, maybe even a little disadvantaged into Dark Trooper lists, well-built Dark Trooper lists, but they're making the tech. So I think for me, what I see doing really well, and we'll probably see, it would be my pick to win, maybe even like a few in the top 4, is Blizzard Force with a little extra anti-Dark Trooper tech. So like, Kyle's going with ion guns. Mm-hmm. Maybe you put HH-12s on or something else. That's what I see doing the best.
Well, you have Finn from Germany. He's running kind of a very similar list to Kyle. And so like Blizzard with ion tech. And
I think Finn's also doing HH-12s on his HRUs.
Yeah.
So they're putting in... So I think that's the style of list that I wouldn't say I would be shocked if it didn't win, but I'd say that's definitely my leader in the clubhouse, my number one with a bullet right now. Like that, it's a good list that doesn't have to add much to have good tech, and it doesn't lose as much. Yeah, right.
It's especially, and it's high skill, like it's a high skill list, but like this is a high skill tournament, like the most high skill tournament you could ever get, and so those are going to be ran really successfully. And I'm just talking with people that there's so many practice games in preparation going into this tournament. It's unreal.
I think it's easy, and it's easier to practice against Dark Troopers than it is going to be to practice against Blizzard.
Yeah,
because it is tougher to, you're not going to get to practice against someone who can play Blizzard as well as Kyle, or even like an 80% of that, whereas you can probably play against like an 80% version of our Dark Trooper list, right?
Yes. And so like the only reason I'm thinking like a double Dark Trooper may come on top is because we're dealing with IRL tables.
Yes,
so we're like Vader and a Force user still has to like, it's very terrain dependent, and Dark Troopers, they don't care. Like
that's one of the great things. Yeah, that was a consideration for me because tables in real life can be pretty spotty, unfortunately, even now and this far into the game, but there's like a big aversion still to putting line of sight blocking anywhere near the middle, which can be very frustrating for a Force user. So like with my list, do I have a spot to hide Boba? I need to hide one mini. He doesn't have to be like that close because he's fast. Yeah. Fast with range. Yeah. So I just need a spot to hide him during the turn 1 with rule with respect. Yep. And after that, cool. They literally can't get cover, so I'll just march towards you.
You're good.
And have a good time.
So yeah, that's the only thing that like
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there is.
Having a lot of them just increases the chances that one person gets through with like good matchups, because that's the other thing about Blizzard. If you're not heavily, you can't really tech against it, but you might still have a chance against it. Yeah, there are good players who, if you didn't build your list right, you're just going to lose against a double dark list. You just can't handle it. Yep. And some players can just, if you get those matchups enough, and then the 50, you just need maybe 1 or 2 50-50s to go your way, and you can be really deep in the tournament.
Yeah, really good. And so I think that's it. You got anything else for
No, Adepticon? I don't. I mean, we shouldn't say too much because maybe people will listen to this after Adepticon and we'll look stupid.
I do got to say, being like, I've been here since, I've been here already 2 days, and I got to say I'm very impressed with AMG. And they've invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money into this world tournament. Like I always thought maybe, and had conversations with people like, man, like we're kind of like the adopted child, like Legion is the adopted child of AMG. But like this was like very far from the truth after seeing like all that what AMG has been doing for this tournament. So that's really refreshing that it seems like they really care about organized play and just like the tournament scene in general. And so it's just really cool. And if you're just listening at home, if you're not here at Adepticon, we're sorry that you've missed, but if we want to invite you to watch the streams on Yavin and so Yavinbase or twitch.tv/YavinBase is where the streams will be. And so David Endless is doing an amazing job just streaming all that. And so hopefully you'll see one of us on stream
That's the hope. Hopefully
it's Sunday in the afternoon. And
exactly. So Seth actually is bringing some tech for the stream. So Bombad Generals are officially a sponsor of the Yavin Base stream. And we'll be shills for Yavin Base all the time because the work that David's doing is great. Getting the video out to the masses. So definitely check that out. If you're listening to this after, he'll have VODs on Twitch, I think for 2 weeks generally, and then they end up on YouTube eventually. So just if you want to see, again, when I started out, like that's how I got into the game. And that's how a part of how I got better is watching it. So, and
if you would consider just supporting Yavin Base on his Patreon, just patreon.com/YavinBase, like $5 a month or something. That's a coffee or so. Yeah. Just to help the streams going, just for this and future AMG events, because I know AMG has expressed that they want to do future events. Yeah. And so this is a great time to start buying in.
And the last thing I just want to say is you can already tell it feels more like a Worlds. It's Worlds. Like we're talking to people from Australia, people from Europe. Like I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 Europeans in the top 4, and quite possibly winning the whole thing. It's definitely very much in the cards. So that's really cool. It's not just a whole bunch of Americans with a couple Canadians.
It's true. Yeah, it's really cool just going by tables and just hearing like the different accents, different languages, and so just really. Yeah, it feels Worlds, and that's really cool.
Oh, you got some Dark Troopers there.
Hey. Oh. Well, you got to bring your thick Canadian accent.
Sorry about that.
Oh, gosh. Well, hey, thanks so much for listening to the Bombad Generals. I'm Seth.
And I'm Matt.
And stay Gungan.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, aim losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.